compatriotas, ¿cómo estamos en el día de hoy? Leyendas, let's go. Legends, how is everybody doing? I hope you're having a fantastic day today. Let's analyze the situation here for the price of Bitcoin altogether. Hope you're doing good, guys. We'll be analyzing the situation because, it's bearish, it's bullish. How low can we go? Will we sweep up the local lows where we got a bounce? We got a nice little bounce yesterday. Nothing too major. It was a bounce of $1,500 here. What is the structure telling us, right? What is the new information giving us here, basically from this low, right? We're going to analyze this entire move. We're going to analyze the movement up that we had since Friday. And most importantly, analyze what is going on here, this new information that we have in the last 24 to 48 hours, right? Is it bearish? Are we forming a big impulse, start of an impulsive move to the downside, which is low probability in my opinion. We're going to go through that right away, guys. Okay, so let me know if you can hear me, if you can see me, guys. Is the music a little bit too loud? We're going to go through the comment section, say hello to the beautiful community. We're going to be taking a look at Bitcoin, the S&P 500, DXY is getting a nice little bounce in the last few days. We do have some important news today. Eventually, we do have the Fed interest rate decision. GDP growth in the US came higher than expected Go USA, man. Economy is doing great. GDP is on the rise. Absolutely phenomenal. Seems like everything's good in the US. We do have liquidity that we're going to be talking about, guys. Okay, very important. CVD divergence, taking them into consideration. A little bit of order flow to see what's going on. Okay, with who's more long and who's more short. Okay, and we'll be taking a look at some interesting news that is going on, guys. Okay, throughout the stream later on, but most importantly, this is why we're here, the Bitcoin price action, the king, the leader of crypto here, and what is going on, right? We're going to keep it basic, simple analysis, okay, for the newbie out there, okay, support, resistance, market structure, you know, why are we bouncing, why are we rejecting, right? Keeping it simple for the viewer, and then go a little bit more techie, a little bit more advanced, okay, for the degens out there like myself, that look at the charts for 3, 4, 5 hours a day, right? Trying to analyze the next, you know, different probability movements. So first of all, let's say hello to the beautiful community. We got 230 people in. I'm sure that we have about 200 likes already, because if there's 230 people, there should be around about 200 likes, right? Well, no, I was completely wrong with that prediction. We are at 43 likes at the moment. So yeah, that was a bad prediction. That sucks. So regardless, never mind. If you do enjoy the stream, guys, I'm going to go through the comment section. We'll do a bit of Q&A later on with some altcoins. And I'm just going to dive in through the comment section and say hello just for respect to my community eventually. 𝗖𝗿𝘆𝗽𝗍 el profesor. ¿Cómo estás, amigo? Let's go. Vámonos. Slap the like button. 𝗖𝗿𝘆𝗽𝗍, absolute legend. Always on the streams with that crown there. Absolutely loving it. Welcome back to Dubai. I will go to Dubai on Sunday, okay? Sunday, I'll be back in Dubai into the heat, and I'm going to be very active with scalping and day trading, okay? Because I've been mainly swing trading for over a month right now, taking some profits, you know, basically in some swing positions, adding to position, taking profit from the previous weeks, even from June, mainly in swing longs. It's kind of boring. I miss day trading, but I'm in Spain right now, and mucha fiesta. You know, a lot of paella, cerveza, fiesta, let's go, right? And I'm actually tired of all of that. So I've had my vacation, swing trades, updates. Let's get back to day trading. We need to start making some serious money day trading, right? So anyway, back in Dubai in the weekend. So really wanting to do that because I'll be better with fitness, eating healthy, and trading, of course. Now I'm just swing trading, chilling, right? Nothing too major. Boom, boom. Alec, how are you doing? Pac-Man, hello, legend, my man. Pac-Man here, always giving love and support. Pac-Man, I hope you're doing well, my man. Matthew, welcome, my man. We also have Mattia, Crypto by Mattia, CBN Legends. Make sure to go and check out Crypto by Mattia, guys. He's an absolute legend. Awesome quality content right over there regarding crypto and trading and analysis, guys. Make sure to go and check him out. Smash up the like button immediately. Missing Mattia, I do play tennis with him. Hopefully I'm gonna see him in a few weeks and get back to tennis. Breakout soon, surely, says Shane C. Yeah, this is the thing. We're going to be taking a look at liquidity and the probabilities, guys, okay? Nothing really has changed drastically on the chart for Bitcoin. There is always a bearish chance to go to the lows of the range, okay? But I don't see a successful breakdown as mentioned throughout the previous weeks, right? This was a good long, you know, take profits as you wish. For me, it's not really worth it. I've been taking profits from longs from, you know, June, basically. I don't see a successful breakdown happening. I do think that there is a chance to get to 115, 114, maybe 113, right? Most bearish case scenario, but I would expect some big support here just because it is very hard to count a possible leading, you know, destructive, impulsive move to the downside. And we are piling up with massive short liquidation. So the 120K zone is going to be a take profit area because and may be interested in shorts, guys. I have to say, I am interested in shorting this zone depending on the reaction, because the range could continue and there is a bearish case that could actually, you know, lead us to lower levels below 115K. Right now, still bullish till proven otherwise. The movement to the upside counts better as a bullish move, and the movement down for the moment counts better as a corrective structure. So yeah, I mean, still leaning on the bullish side. And we're going to be analyzing the waves and the support levels and the different scenarios throughout the stream. Okay, I'm going to go slightly in detail. We're going to be counting the bearish case scenario and the different possibilities where the price could bounce, and the bullish one eventually, which would be first stop hitting 120k, guys. You know what is interesting about $120,000 range is the amount of liquidity that we have up there, right? The amount of liquidity that is sitting up there and the amount of shorts that are entering the market is pretty fascinating, okay? I like it. The amount of shorts that are entering the market here are pretty aggressive throughout the last few weeks. And we have data to see that, right? Shorts piling up throughout the previous weeks and even the last few days with the CVD divergence. And that is really good. I mean, it's 𝗖𝗍𝗍𝗿 now doesn't want to load, but we basically have lower lows on the CVD very aggressively from June, higher lows that we have. And that means that we have lots of shorts entering the market throughout Bybit, Binance. We can see it here also on XO. There is very aggressive lower lows on the CVD, which means in this range, there are shorts piling up. The shorts, which is creating eventually that huge amount of liquidity that there is sitting above 120k. So I do see this zone being tested at some point in the very near future. Okay, that doesn't mean that we cannot come down to the low of the range at 15k minus, right, in that area. We're going to discuss the technicals here, guys, and try and come up with some bearish case scenarios, okay? Because I mainly see the highest probability scenario eventually in the next coming days, if not next week at the latest, that we should be at some point moving to the upside, regardless with a rejection here or a movement down here. That all of this points out it is just a large correction, just because we cannot see a clear impulsive move to the downside. This range is extending in time very long. So if you're looking at this to be an impulse, you're starting to be very rangy, long time here for this to be some kind of a wave 2. A wave 2 here is very complex to count. It does count better as a 3-wave corrective structure. And then eventually all of this move very long in time as well. So it's kind of difficult to count a possible breakdown in a wave 3 to happen in the next coming days. It's very complex to find, and we just don't have it on the chart. So ultimately, it's still looking bullish on the higher time frame. We'll be zooming in on the lower time frame to discuss what are the different possibilities, right? Let's keep it a little bit simple here for the viewer. So basically where we are bouncing is the value area low. Throughout the last few days, value area high of this entire range that we created since the 11th of July is providing resistance and it's providing support. We did get that bounce at the weekly level yesterday. It was a scenario. I would have enjoyed seeing a little bit of higher levels eventually, but we got that high volume node. So it's in the middle of the range. The price of Bitcoin right now is in the middle of the lows and the highs, right? A little bit lower from the middle. And it's inside of the value area where it is getting resistance and it's getting supported as well. We got a nice little reaction at the weekly level yesterday, as mentioned on the video update. Got a little bit of a, reaction. We maintained above that weekly. We got that little bounce of $1,000. It is relatively boring. But now we want to analyze structure. So we know that we have a lot of support here that can create another fake out. Okay, this is something that we want to be aware of, right? We can get the breakdown, right, and get back above. That would also be a possible fake out right over here. Look for a significant bounce. Swing failure pattern of the lows, basically. That is something that I would be interested personally, okay? very, very interested in that fake out. So you basically get the wick and then back above in this zone, ready for a new long position or adding to my long positions as well. Depending if we do break down, then I would be a little bit defensive on the long positions and analyze the situation if we were to drop very, very aggressively. But reclaiming these levels will eventually be a bullish sign if we do get a liquidity grab, right? You break down and you fake out, you get back inside of this area, right, back above the support. It would just be a proven fake out to the downside. That's something that I would be interested in. Still in longs, not worried about this situation. And the only level that I'm interested in shorting, which I'm going to tell you right over here, guys, because it would be a very, very good short if we do get a rejection and some 15-minute candle closes, is the top of the range, right? Where we do revisit not only this lower high right over here, but this one right over here, where we also have some daily levels, right? We have a daily level here that could get that reaction. I would want to see higher, but these two daily levels, what is interesting is the daily levels exactly at the value area high, this one that we just created recently in the last couple of days. We've got a daily close and open that hasn't been revisited basically from Sunday and Monday. Would be a kind of an SFP from this lower high. We want to be cautious because I do think that a three-wave move up here is a possibility. So this would be a little bit aggressive in my opinion. I would rather say I missed the short trade here, okay, if it were to move down and be like, okay, it doesn't matter, right? I prefer these levels right over here. And one of the main reasons why, according to, looking at Elliott wave theory, is because I would be interested in at least a three-wave move where it takes out the highs from Sunday and Monday. At least take out those highs with the potential of taking out these highs. And with that reason of a three-wave structure here that could develop, right, between today and tomorrow, it's a possibility. We have that liquidity grab, right? The amount of short liquidations that we have above 120K is pretty aggressive. There's hundreds of millions of dollars of short liquidations in volume. And it might just be a liquidity grab and the range just continues. This would be a moment where people would get excited. Even myself, I might think, okay, this is an end of a three-wave structure here, legends, right? Let me turn myself a little bit smaller here because I might be in the way. So this might be the end of the three-wave structure, right? End of a three-wave structure, very much a possibility. The movement to the upside since Friday lows, previous Friday, does have a good chance of being an impulse. We've been talking about this in the previous days, that this does look quite five-wavy. It does look like it's a nice kind of an impulse, right? It's a leading move up, right? It doesn't look corrective, so it has some strength. When you have a significant higher time frame low, okay, this is a higher time frame low. We've got a three-wave move here to the downside. It's a higher time frame low. You've got a new wave to the upside. When you have a low like this, after a possible three-wave structure down, and this momentum counts better as a five-wave structure instead of a three-wave corrective structure, you want to consider the possibility of a higher time frame three-wave structure, regardless if this is going to break out in a third wave or a C wave, and then you kind of SFP from here and you just continue the range. And what we're looking at here is a larger, complex, corrective structure where you have a three wave up, and then possibly you form a triangle here to finish a Y wave. Maybe you form a flat where it gets a little bit confusing. You just continue the range for another week or so. It is definitely possible that we could continue ranging, especially if you fail to break out above 120K zone, right? Give or take $121,000, where it could get rejected. It might even SFP from this lower high, right? Just to sweep up that liquidity that we do have above 120K. A sweep of liquidity can always be you know, instead of a successful breakout, you sweep it up and then you reject. So a swing failure pattern from here is without a doubt an option. It's an option that I would like to short and take advantage of this movement to the downside, at least to the point of control value area low, where I'll be taking some profits. It would only be a movement of $2,000-3,000, but it would be a high probability one, and you have good risk management if you do create that swing failure pattern, either from this pivot high or either from this pivot high or the daily. These two pivots, this is the zone where I will be paying attention very, very carefully, guys. These are the two pivots, okay? 3 pivots counting the daily, that I would be extremely interested in really seeing that rejection, okay? If we were to break out of this kind of wedgie structure, right? Say that we do finally move up here. I wouldn't be interested in shorting a lower high here. I wouldn't be interested in shorting the first daily. I would rather miss that short. If we get a reaction at the daily and the value area high and it moves down, so be it. Being so close from some lower highs and shorting early in advance, it's just not, for me, it's just not a trade setup. If we do get the rejection, okay, you know, I missed the trade, not a big deal. But I do know that above us is much better levels, okay? Much better. And also considering that huge amount of liquidity that we do have up there. So yeah, I mean, and the trading plan here would be relatively simple to explain here, okay? We do have a lot of confluence, daily level, lower highs, liquidity can be added as confluence as well. It's just, you know, sweep up or, you know, get wrecked all of those short positions, right? Claim that liquidity and then possibly get the rejection. We have Elliott wave theory to back up the possible rejection, which is a 3-wave move down and a possible 3-wave move up. And then the rejection happens. Okay, so yeah, we got Elliott wave theory. We got lots of confluence, daily level, lower highs with some liquidity. Hey, this is an awesome level to actually get a rejection. So what we need to do here is, as mentioned, I'm not interested in the first daily level. I'm interested either in between this pivot high and this pivot high. There is a difference of about $700-800. So, and the daily is in the middle. I do recognize that the daily could be part of the rejection here from the lower high swing failure pattern. So just let's imagine that we do blast off here, or we just, you know, slowly grind to the upside. Hitting this high or the daily, there is the aggressive short entry where, say you get the daily and you start trading below, you close a 15-minute candle, stop loss above the high, and then you start rejecting aggressively, getting back inside of the value area. If we do not get any rejection here and the price breaks out, then eventually my next level of interest would be this lower high, preferably this lower high right over here. And it's all got to do with the amount of liquidity. If we get up to 120K and we miss, you know, preferably we do just get that movement up and claim the liquidity here, guys. And the only short trade that I would be interested is if we get the rejection. So say that we blast off here, we climb up, we claim 120.3K plus, and then we get the rejection trading back below this low over here. We've swept up the liquidity. We have a possible 3-wave structure. It's game on, right? For me, it would be game on to get into a short position, stop loss above the high, and look for a possible pullback. I want to be cautious with shorts because the overall highest probability from this range is taking out all-time high. So shorts will be taken with lower risk, very good risk management, because the end game based on the previous week's analysis is taking out all-time high at some point. Okay, regardless of any mess, whatever mess happens in here, the highest probability is taking out all-time high, than having a successful breakdown below 115K. Successful breakdown, low probability. It doesn't mean that we cannot revisit the lows. Absolutely, yes, we can. So it's good. It's a bit of noise, right? And sometimes when you are swing trading, such as myself, like I've been doing throughout the previous, 5-6 weeks since I arrived in Spain, is just really adding to the long position, getting into the longs, getting into new positions, not being too worried about, the possibility of the price rejecting too much, just realizing that the market structure is in my advantage. Okay. The trend is your friend, as they say. So yeah, I mean, we're going to be taking a look at the lower time frames right away, legends. Okay, make sure to destroy the like button. This is a bit of higher time frame scenarios. Okay, the only short that I would be interested in myself would be this area right over here. Okay, swing failure pattern, liquidity grab, daily level. A rejection from here could bring us back down inside of the value area, right? Get back down to the value area low, point of control area, which is your take profit zone, stop loss at the high, entry on the rejection. That would be my only short of interest personally here in this area. Okay. So just looking at higher time frame, we'll go through lower time frame right away, guys. For any new long positions, I mean, this is strong support. I am aware of the bearish case that could get the slight breakdown here. It could get a slight breakdown, but I would still be interested in the possibility of forming a higher low here. Okay, so any new trades, if you missed the weekly, which is a good entry point, we actually came down to revisit and backtest that weekly level, as you can see just in the last couple of hours. I think it's an acceptable entry. There is the danger, of course, of moving down here. However, this movement down, I don't see it breaking down successfully here, guys. Again, right? So it would be very interesting to actually analyze this movement down. Simple option would be swing failure pattern. You come back down to the lows and you come back inside of the range, okay, as support. It's just been a liquidity grab, bullish market structure. Then, eventually you're looking for that rally here and you're looking for that three-wave structure regardless. Yeah, if we were to break down, let's go through the 15-minute time frame. This is where we have the meat and potatoes, guys, right? Or trying to predict what are the highest probability local moves. We're going to clean up the chart here a little bit, and then I'll go through the comment section for any new people that have been joining here or new subscribers. Let's go. Make sure to subscribe to the channel, guys, if you enjoy technical analysis, looking at the probability scenarios of the charts, looking at the latest move up, guys. I'm really more only interested in what is happening here and here right now, to look at the local probabilities, right? Higher time frame, high probability in taking out all-time high. We can revisit the lows. I still think, it's probably, it is potentially unlikely. This does count better as an impulse. Now the question is this corrective, or is there any kind of impulsive move that is possible in this movement to the downside? Well, that's where we're going to go in here and zoom in on this price action. And for the moment, okay, for the moment, as mentioned, this counts better as an impulse. So we need to, give a little bit of priority here for this to be a corrective structure, just because the movement since Friday looks more impulsive, meaning that a movement like this has higher probability for the moment. And that's just purely based on this movement up looks better as an impulse. So now the question is the corrective move finished? Could it be finished right over here? Well, we do have a three-wave move down. We got lots of support here, value area low, that weekly level that got a nice bounce here yesterday, revisited today, back test. higher low for the moment here with the movement up that we've had in the last 24 hours. Higher low for the moment. Let's see how, if the price does manage to push through here from the recent highs of today. That will be interesting. That could definitely bring some bullish momentum and finally, confirm that this has been the low, which was very much the zone that we talked about on yesterday's video update that didn't get much love. But anyway, you do as you wish. When we analyze the bearish potentials here, what is very interesting about this movement to the downside, which, all of the waves gives you information, right? All of the waves give you information, and some waves can be very complex and very difficult to count. Okay, but there's always one or two, right, inside of a range which are very clear. And inside of this movement down that we've had since Monday, what is clear for me is that this movement to the downside that we had yesterday is a 3-wave move down. That is something that I have, that is very, very clear. This is a huge amount of noise. You can count this as you want, right? This could be a 3-wave structure, whether 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It can be an expanding diagonal. Okay, potentially 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. It's very messy, very overlappy. So, there is an issue here. There's too much noise, right, on the 15-minute time frame. Where there's not too much noise is in this movement. This one is crystal clear that it is a 3-wave move. Okay? So, when we consider this a 3-wave structure and not an impulsive move in 5 waves, when you think about the most bearish case scenario in a downtrend is multiple 1-2s eventually getting that breakdown in a wave 3, right? This is what you fear, right? The bulls, in this case, the bears want this, but the bears fear a multiple 1-2. The bulls fear a multiple 1-2, right? From the highs of the pump since Friday, 1-2, 1-2, 3, right? We break down. However, we have a 3-wave move down in this movement right over here, which is not possible when you consider your second wave 1, because a wave 1 or a wave 3 or a wave 5 or a wave A or a wave C, you want to have 5 waves, right? Regardless if it's just a little wick down like this. You want to have 5 waves to the downside. We formed a higher low here yesterday at the weekly and the value area low of the entire range. You did not. If you would have claimed the low here, we would have had a 5-wave structure. That's when things change. That's when you're like, what if we're forming a multiple 1-2, we're going to break down in a 3rd wave, right? You have that doubt. I don't have this doubt. I don't have it. Why? Because we have a 3-wave move up here. Move down, sorry. That is the beauty. That is the beauty, right? On having that edge. Considering Elliott wave theory. I do know that there is low probability that we break down successfully from this area in a 1-2, 1-2 3rd wave. I'm not looking for a 3rd wave down here. It's extremely low probability. Why is it low probability? Because of this wave right over here. This wave in the middle is telling me that this is not an impulse. So a multiple 1-2 here is off the charts. I realize that breaking down here is low probability. You can revisit the lows eventually, and that's when you have to take into consideration other scenarios, right? If this is counted as an impulse from the top, this is a 3-wave structure. Okay, all good right there. What is going on here? You have a 3-wave move down. So you got 3 up, 3 down. That could be an A wave, B wave, C wave, running flat. There's rare flat scenarios. A running flat is very rare. Preferably you do take out the highs. It's, low probability. So you realize that this has higher probability in being a double zigzag. There's some kind of a 3-wave structure here, 3-wave up and 3-wave down, making it a double zigzag WXY. You have 5 waves up here. Maybe this is the end of the correction. So, yeah, according to the technical analysis, the probabilities in breaking down from here successfully were very, very low. If you were to consider this a wave 1, this a wave 2 in a running flat, which, we're getting that movement up right now. So, this might have the potential of squeezing out. You realize that if this were to be your wave 1, this your running flat right there, it would just, it's low probability regardless. Could you have been breaking down here in a wave 3? As mentioned, could it be possible? Absolutely. You can't say it's impossible, but the probabilities of, a running flat, which is rare, we're extremely low, right? Running flat right over here. I haven't gone in detail on this movement down. It's just a big fat mess. But having this 3-wave move to the downside really, really helped with looking at the probabilities here. And you just need to zoom out sometimes, right? Sometimes you just need to zoom out and really think, look, if you are struggling with this range, you need to zoom out a little bit and understand where you're at, right? I need to understand where we at the moment, right? In the last few days, even couple of weeks, I need to try and understand, how did we get up here? How did we get up here for this movement? Well, I take a look at the previous low and the previous high. The movement counts much better as a 5-wave move. When you have a 5-wave move like this, in a 1 wave, right? It's all of this is 1 wave, right? It's 1 wave right over here. You realize that as mentioned in the higher time frame, we either move in 5 waves or we either move in 3 waves. If we have 1 wave here and we're moving with all of this choppiness and corrective, kind of matter, there's a 3-wave move down, it's all a bit messy. A running flat is a rare scenario, so you just don't give it the highest probability. Maybe this has been the end of the 3-wave structure. That's what you need to believe. You've got lots of support here, which is the Valley area low and the weekly level, right? Which was mentioned yesterday. The probabilities in breaking down are very, very low. So you need to come to that conclusion that coming up to hit 120K plus after this leg to the downside, whatever happens here, guys, it doesn't matter. The highest probability is taking out 120K, because what we're looking for is a possible 3-wave move up, regardless if it successfully breaks out to all-time high or it just creates that swing failure pattern from the liquidity grab from the lower highs of the previous days with that daily level, which is, it's a zone of rejection. I do get it. Or that would be my next interest level for a short. So yeah, as explained, 3-wave move down for the moment, bang, bang, bang. 5-wave, better counted as a 5-waver. If you move like this, you realize that the high probability is taking out those highs from Monday above 119.9K, 120K zone. And the main reason is this wave here, this wave right over here counts much better as a 5-wave structure. And when you have a 5-wave structure from a higher time frame low, if the movement down is choppy, you are looking for a high probability in taking out the local highs here at 120k. So yeah, I mean, I hope you enjoyed that explanation here, guys. Just going in detail on looking at the probabilities, right? How to have that edge on realizing what's the highest probabilities, regardless of any magic indicators that you have on the chart. Market structure, Elliott wave theory is leading you to have the best, edge, right, in the market here in your trading. So things that are moving in advantage to take out 120k at some point is the liquidity. Market moves with liquidity. Market makers see where that liquidity is. They want that liquidity, big liquidity. And when you consider that there are many shorts entering the market throughout the last couple of weeks and few days, it's absolute insanity the amount of shorts that are entering the market in this bullish market structure and this clear type of corrective structure. Shorts are entering the market. There's a lot of liquidity above 120k. When we do go in detail with the analysis, it's pretty damn clear that we've had this 3-wave move down. The movement up counts much better as a 5-wave impulse. You got a lot of noise in this movement to the downside, very choppy, very overlappy, a 3-wave move in the middle here. So you're already, taking away the possibility of a double 1-2. So low probability in breaking down here successfully. You add up all of these things, realizing that what we're looking for is a 3-wave structure at a bare minimum, which eventually, most of the times, takes out the highs of that first pump up. Right? So simple, guys. Simple. Easy. So let's go through the comment section, say hello to the beautiful community. There's not really much to talk about here. Make sure to destroy the like button, guys, if you like the explanations, guys. I'm not sure if I'm clear with the explanations. I think that I'm clear because I know what I'm talking about, but maybe for the viewer, it's not that clear. So please let me know. I might have to restructure my explanations on the chart in the near future, just so people really enjoy. Popcorn here from Block Breaks. Yeah, what can we say, legends? What can we say? Anyway, man, screw alts. We are here for BTC, says Staffer1. Yeah, very true. I mean, altcoins, yeah, I've got my ICP bag. ICP took a bit of a dump. I'm very much aware of ICP testing the $4 low. Okay, it's in my mind that is possible. I would only be happy to buy more ICP. I'm not much of an altcoin trader. I've got some of my analysts that do altcoin analysis and altcoin setups in the Telegram and also in the Discord, guys. Remember, if you are interested, make sure to join the Telegram down below, where you can join the Discord, well, the Legends community, which is now fully transitioned to the Telegram. All of the information is in Telegram. Video updates, altcoin analysis and setups. My Bitcoin trades are also given in the Telegram. The signals channel, for all of those that don't want all of the noise, they just want to know where I'm positioned on my Bitcoin trades, you have it in the signals channel, and you can join that with the first link down below, guys. Some people just want info on where my trades are. Some people want education, which is the Legends community eventually on Telegram. Make sure to join down below the first link, okay, if you want more info on that. Somebody was asking here, TP, TQ, bro, Andy. Te quiero, bro. Is that te quiero? Dan, much love to you. It's pumping. Good morning, 𝗖𝗿𝘆𝗽𝗽. Yeah, it's pumping. Just a little bounce here. I wouldn't be, extremely excited just yet. Nothing out of the. I mean, could this be a wave one? And this could be an ABC. We just on the formation right now. We had a 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 4. And we do form an ABC flat here, and then it comes down. It's still possible, guys. It's just a very, very fat, confusing range where we have more information, right? I am aware that the range could continue still, guys. We could claim the highs and then reject. We could even claim the last lower high here from yesterday and then reject and just continue this range that we formed for the last, 3 weeks almost now, over 2 weeks. I am aware of this, guys, regardless of continuing the range or revisiting the lows, still looking for the price to hit all-time high. And there is a simple reason. It is just bullish market structure here. And this counts better as a correction, okay? And, just with my latest, overview of the price of Bitcoin is the recent lows here. How did we move up here? It does count better as an impulse. How are we moving down here? Yeah, a lot of overlap, very choppy. A double zigzag fits very nicely. There is a 3-wave structure in the middle, which means a double 1, 2 here, is not an option. We would have to kind of fit a flat structure here or some kind of a WXY to consider that possible 3rd wave breakdown, which, I have to say, it is possible to form some kind of a WXY here. Three wave up, 3 wave down. Yeah. As mentioned, I wouldn't give it the highest probability just because of this wave up. Okay, so we need to go with the trend, and the trend since Friday's lows, it looks quite impulsive. So when we come with the bearish scenarios here, I like that we have a 3-waver. So, the only scenarios for the bearish case, double 1, 2, not possible because of this 3-wave structure, is that we have either a flat or some kind of a WXY. Yeah, which is not looking good at either, because if we're forming a WXY, we have a zigzag up, a zigzag down. It is fine for a WXY to claim W. That means that you're looking for a sideways corrective structure. If you formed a zigzag up is not possible in a WXY sideways corrective move. So you would either want to see some kind of a flat here be forming, because if this is your, let's just go with a bearish speculation here, wave 1, and you're on the formation of a wave 2. A flat is a possibility, not looking too great. You would have to have a double 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 4, 5. If it gets choppy here at these highs, we want to consider, if it's very choppy, that it could be a C wave in that ABC flat. If it gets choppy here, guys, I would consider that we might get that movement to the downside. I'm talking about 119.3 to 119.5. If it gets choppy at the highs of yesterday, it could reject eventually. It could take that rejection and we could consider a wave 2, but we need to get up there. If we start forming a little bit of a range here in a triangle, I would, definitely be a little bit concerned. I would be concerned of the possibility of a WXY And now you're just forming a triangle here in your wave Y. That could be your wave 2, and then it breaks down. We're going to have to be analyzed. I mean, low probability, in my opinion. This would be extending in time too much already from the movement down that we had on Monday. So time is not in the advantage of the bears. So yeah, I mean, we're gonna have to go with the new information. For the moment, the new information is bullish. I mean, the information that we have is bullish till proven otherwise. You just need to take the trades at the levels that are the best options. You want to consider the local volatility. You want to consider the news that we have. The best level to be positioned was mentioned on yesterday's video update that didn't get too much love, was that weekly level and the value area low, right? So you don't want to FOMO in here in a long position. You want to consider the bearish case. You are downtrending. You want to consider, the possibility of rolling down. So chasing the pumps, preferably if you have a short strategy here where we at, you don't want to get into longs, okay, on the pumps. As mentioned, the bearish information that we do have here is not too great. Okay, and that's just as explained. When you ask me, why do you think, if you were to ask me, why do you see the highest probability that this is a correction and that we should be revisiting 120k and not break down successfully here to claim the lows at 115k? The first one would be this movement up looks impulsive, 5 wave. After a 5 wave, you are looking at some kind of another wave up to take out the highs. That would be my first response to that. And the second response is this movement to the downside. This has to be some kind of a complex correction if this is going to be a leading move to the downside, either in a WXY, then down, or a flat, which is, not the preferred scenarios. Complex corrections are rare. For a flat, a running flat is very rare. Never the highest probability, so you'd want to take out those highs regardless for the flat. So what you would be looking at here is either a triangle. If you form a triangle structure here, I would be aware of the bearishness, guys, okay? Yeah, I would be aware of only that. A flat is also an option, but the flat should have taken out the lows, or at least the 0.9 Fibonacci. So a flat is not an option here for the moment. If this is your wave W, your wave X, you want to see a flat here and then down. However, we haven't hit the minimum targets of the flat, from this movement up, which is the 0.9 Fibonacci. So a flat here is not an option. A flat here, okay, to be formed in your wave W and your wave Y, sorry. So you've got a W right over here, a wave X on the movement down, and now you form your Y, which would be, a flat is an option or a triangle is an option. Flat is not an option at the moment because we haven't hit the 0.9 Fibonacci. You need to hit the 0.9 Fibonacci in a B wave of a flat. If it's not hit, it's not a flat. So, this is off the chart. That's not we're not taking that into consideration. If we were to form a little bit of a triangle structure here, 3 wave up, then I would say, this maybe is a wave 1, this maybe is a wave 2 or a wave B, right? A, B, or 1 and 2. But yeah, we need more information for that. So yeah, with this 3-wave structure to the downside, the probabilities for the bears are low. Big impulsive move, 3-wave down with a 3-wave down here for a WXY double zigzag. The options for the bears are just very, very low, considering a successful breakdown, right? Doesn't mean we cannot revisit the lows. But for a successful breakdown, the probabilities are very, very, very low. And something that is playing in the advantage of the bulls, not only the market structure and the Elliott wave counts, is considering the huge amount of shorts that are entering the market in the last few weeks and days. Not just recently here, in the last few days since Friday lows, there's some pretty aggressive shorts entering the market in the last couple of days, guys. It's pretty insane, which is piling up that liquidity above 120k. So I mean, yeah. Anyway, let's go. What about an overshoot flat? What about an overshoot flat or undershoot flat? You mean a running flat, right? A running flat, overshoot flat. I'm not sure if you're talking about this movement here. A flat is not possible. You haven't hit the minimum requirement, which is the 0.9 Fibonacci from the low to the high of a wave. So here, a flat is not possible. A running flat from here is kind of possible. A running flat is possible. You would have to really label this as, because inside of a flat wave, okay, and we have to give it, we would give it a chance. Let's just do the technicals. If we are looking at this to be an impulse from this high, a movement down, right, a leading move to the downside, and this is your wave one, we need to consider what is going on here with this price action. So if this has to be your bounce in an A wave, the B wave here, and then your C wave for a running flat, inside of a C wave, you do want to have 5 waves. And yeah, from that low, you got 1 here, potentially 2. All of this could have been 3, and this 4 and 5. Then this would have to be an expanding diagonal, if I'm not mistaken. Let's just check it here. Yeah, it would be an expanding diagonal right over here. And yeah, I mean, this is what it would be if it were to be a running flat. Running flats are very rare. You know, you never give them the highest probability based on a flat. And an expanding diagonal is also very rare. So it would just be a big fat mess, right? If you're looking at this as a wave one, this a wave, and this, what you're forming here is a flat. It would have to be a running flat, and inside of the C wave, you got an expanding diagonal. So, you know, a running flat is extremely rare. An expanding diagonal is also extremely rare. So you just wouldn't give it the highest probability, right? You're like looking for the bearish case scenario instead of just you know, accepting that the bullish case scenario has higher probability, right? But we, you know, as a technical analyst, we always need to find the bearish case. We always need to try and find it on the charts. And as you try and find it, you do realize that there's low probability, right? You just realize that there's low probability as you do, you know, do your analysis. So yeah, I mean, not much more here to talk about Bitcoin, guys. What can I say? If we were to move down aggressively, I would have to come to that conclusion that this was a wave one and this was a running flat with an expanding diagonal. If we were to break down here the lows of yesterday, then what I would be looking for is still the possibility. Okay, we do not want a wave 3. If we break down very aggressively, because it's a wave 1 and a wave 2, and a wave 3 eventually is the most explosive one, I wouldn't be in a rush to long. If we're breaking down, guys, I would just let the price action find support and reclaim the lows. You know, get a bit of a reclaim here, and then I would be bullish. But if we do break down from the lows, I just don't want to, you know, be part of a new position here, and I'll be analyzing the situation to, you know, if we're moving down aggressively, to de-risk from my positions. But for the moment, you know, the probabilities are good, guys, to take out 120K at a later stage, sooner rather than later. So yeah, I mean, I'm not worried about the situation. I've got good entries. They're much lower from price action. Yeah, what can we say? What can we say here? I would still consider, if we are forming some kind of a running flat or a WXY, I would still consider the possibility of a C wave here, right? I would still consider the possibility of an A wave, whatever kind of a complex correction is happening here, either in a sideways WXY or a running flat, and then move down. I would still consider that we are forming a higher low from the Friday lows. Why, you may ask? Because this movement looks bullish since the Friday lows. I would still consider, if this is not the low before we take 120K, that I would still be interested in analyzing the price on the movement down here, realizing that the highest probability is that this is corrective as well. I would be interested in another long, but I would not long the breakdown from yesterday's lows. I would remain patient. So if this is some kind of a complex correction and we have a new wave down, this wave down has to be analyzed very carefully. And, you know, basically what you would want to see is the first leg down, and then the big drop down, and then you want to see some kind of a 5-wave structure here to consider that that could be a C wave, right? The moment after the big movement down, you eventually want to see, you know, the last waves of Elliott wave theory, which would be that 4-5. This is the moment that you would want to be excited about to get into new long positions. There's big bullish CVD divergence. There's a lot of liquidity above 120K. You know, I'm more interested in realizing that the highest probability is taking out 120K instead of realizing we're going lower because I'm a big fat bear and I don't care about your bullishness and your charts and the news, and, you know, I'm just bearish and I'm just perma bear. So I don't care about it. The probabilities is going to go down, right? You know, it's just, I trade the market. I'm here to make gains. I'm here to find out what is the highest probability, and the highest probability is taking out 120K, right? So, you know, I'm going to position myself in that advantage. I am aware that the lows could be taken, but I'm also aware that we still, you know, it would still be looking good to see exhaustion. Finish those waves after your C wave, 5-wave structure, get some exhaustion. Would still be happy to position myself on long positions. And the only short position that I'm interested in, I'm not a huge fan here to enter a short at this area. And, you know, you may ask why. Why am I not interested in a short? We're downtrending, right? Why not a lower high here and break down? You know, the simple reason is this move up. The simple reason is this move up. I do not want to go against this 5-wave move to the upside. So I would rather miss the shorts. I just don't see higher probability in shorting this that could be corrective. Okay, so yeah, it could come down, absolutely, but, you know, regarding my strategies and what I'm looking for, it's not an interesting short for me. The interesting short with high probability, if we do reject, would be completing a 3-wave move up and rejecting after claiming the liquidity from the recent lower highs, where we have the daily levels as well, right? You have that huge amount of liquidity sitting up there. You have a possible completed 3-wave structure. This might just be an A, B, and C, right? Sorry, my bad. This might just be an A right there, a B wave right over here, and a C wave right over here. And you got the same scenario here, 3-wave down, 3-wave up, and then the range continues throughout the next coming days. This would be the high probability area of rejection, and I would be waiting patiently for the rejection. If we break out, we break out. If we reject, then I would be taking a short position with good risk management, and I will be letting the Telegram know, or the Discord, right, or the Legends community on Telegram, not Discord. Discord will no longer exist from today. If you're happy to join and take your trading to the next level, your education to the next level, right, make sure to join the Telegram, which is the first link down below. It's time for comment section, guys. Let's go through comment section right away. Is that a fake pump? Well, it's, I have to say it is a bit overlappy. It is a bit, you just tested the highs right now. So a little bit choppy. Fake pump. It's all about revisiting highs and revisiting lows. Yeah, for the moment, not really very interested in what happens in this area. I'm not that interested, not that fussy. Remember that we do have the news today, guys. We do have the federal interest rate decision. Okay, so this is in about 3 hours from now. Just under 3 hours, the volatility could increase, even though we know that it's unlikely that we're going to get interest rate cuts. So is it priced in already? I want to consider the S&P 500, see what it's doing. S&P just getting a little bit of a pullback here. Nothing too aggressive. But just stay cautious with any new positions, because you might get that volatility up or down. Okay, you might enter a position and the news is just around the corner. If you're using too much leverage and you don't know what you're doing, you're maybe going to get wicked out, right? I wouldn't expect much volatility. If anything, I would expect, I wouldn't expect much on this Fed interest rate decision. We know that it's unlikely that there's going to be any cuts. So it's probably going to stay the same, right? The forecast is 4.5, still the same. But, just stay cautious if you do have any positions open close to your price entry when we get the news, guys, okay? Just to stay on the safe side. Can't go against the trend, says Staffer1. Get out before the police come, as Devil says. Sin Games, much love to you, brother. Thanks for joining the stream. This looks like a possible ABC down on lower price time frame. The previous move up as a 5-wave up, 117.9 range looks a good point of entry for me. Yeah, I mean, it depends. Like I said, the best zone where you want to consider longs is the low here, as mentioned yesterday, guys. And if you want to consider the possibility of a 3-wave structure, maybe forming a flat or a WXY in this box right over here. Low probability for a running flat. A WXY complex sideways corrective move is possible. I would only be interested. We want to consider that if this is all going to be a part of the second wave, right? Because this is where a lot of people might get confused. The 3-wave has finished. We breaking trend, right? Or fake out, right, of the trend. Breakout traders here, not a great option. People might get confused here, where you have this 3-wave move down. The low is in. Let's go. It's time for bullish momentum. Yeah, absolutely. It does make sense for that to happen. However, you can consider all of this mess, okay, still part of the correction, because there's 3 waves inside of here. You've got the movement down, corrective moves. You're looking for a 3-waver. Either a flat, a running flat, a WXY. This is where it can get tricky and confused. Get confused. This is why trying to long the end of a 3-wave move is going to give you the best entry point, without a doubt. If this were to be a 3-wave move, either in a B wave, right? This is your wave A, for example, or your wave 2. This is your wave 1. You want to be aware that we still haven't finished that we still possibly haven't finished the three-wave structure. We still need, you know, the C wave, right? Or the third wave, most bearish case, which I think is unlikely. So you just have to be ready to see proof of support. We do have a naked point of control somewhere down here, but that's very far away, around about 115.6. I have to say, you could not say it's not possible. But the advantage is to the upside for the moment. And something that is looking good is the amount of bullish CVD divergence. The amount of shorts that have entered here throughout the last few weeks. You can see it on the CVD, right? We don't have to take a look at the order flow, but CVD is looking relatively good. Not only in the last few days, but also the last few weeks. You know, still forming those higher lows on price action. Okay, higher lows on price action. And aggressive lower lows on CVD, right? Like there's been shorting activity going on in here, which is on the liquidity map, is where we see that liquidity hiding above 120k. So yeah, I mean, let's see. We're getting that rejection right now. It's just very choppy and rejecty. It's just pump, dump, dump, pump, right? But you know, the movement up. Very boring price action here. Very choppy, very overlappy. This move was very good throughout the weekend. I like this movement up. And right over here is just a bunch of noise. Just a bunch of noise happening in this zone. Let's go right away through the comment section, guys. Remember, if you are interested in trading, make sure to check out Bluffin or Weeks, guys. They are great platforms, okay? You got the biggest deals down below in the description. 20% cashback, okay, on Weeks and on Bluffin. And on Weeks, you do get 25% fee reduction, okay? Both exchanges are great. You just need an email and a password. You got the pinned comment here for Bluffin to sign up right away, or Bluffin or Weeks, okay, which are down below in the description. Weeks right over here with that 25% fee cut on your trades as well as you sign up. Link retracement, Andy. Let's take a look at Chainlink. Bullish on Chainlink, guys. You know I'm bullish on Chainlink. I will start selling Chainlink above $30, okay, whenever that happens. I've had enough, guys. I've got too much Chainlink. I'm going to diversify. I'm going to you know, buy other stuff. But Chainlink is looking very good. Muy bueno. I would be leaning that Chainlink, you know, has a double 1-2 possibility. The main reason why I'm confident on the highest probability that Chainlink does form a higher low here and takes out the highs of 2024 above $30. This is time to take profit, guys. I've had enough of playing around with altcoin investments. You know, it's time to take profit. I don't care about a 10x or a 15x or a 5x. I just want to take profits. Been buying this for a long time now, and yeah, I'm just ready to just take some out, right? Stop having that. Stop holding your bags. But yeah, there is the potential of breaking out in a third wave here. I mean, depending on the breakout, I will slowly start considering taking profit. But what is, you know, for all of those traders that want to get into swing trades on Chainlink, the main reason I'm quite confident here that Chainlink is in a, you know, is going to move up in the next coming, you know, months or weeks, give or take, is because the movement down that we had looks very corrective. Lots of overlap, very corrective structure. We were very confident on Chainlink, being this an accumulation, being this an impulse, looking for the pullback. You know, we've been nailing the movements on Chainlink throughout 23 and 24. Very easy textbook accumulation after a bear market. A nice impulsive move up, 5 waves, guys. Stay cautious. We're looking for a pullback here. down to the golden pocket or the 7-8 next accumulation area, or swing longs is this area. The next one in this zone was this box right over here. You know, the boxes are on the chart, and I would consider a multiple 1-2 setup here, because this breakout from the highs of May hasn't been a success for the moment, right? This looks corrective, which means, yeah, we're looking for, you know, continuation and, you know, a final big leg to the upside to take out the highs of 2024, right, at $30. That's the main first target, guys. Whatever happens here later on, then we'll analyze the situation. But the overall highest probability at the moment is that this is corrective. The movements up look extremely impulsive. We could have another leg up here in the next coming weeks. So what has happened here is that we formed a low and we formed another higher low. Yeah, preferably we would have wanted to see that wave 3 already take off, just like we did back in 2024, right? This did take off. It didn't happen for the moment. So, you know, we cannot rule out the possibility of forming a double 1-2, and that's what it's going to be looking interesting in the next coming days, right? We are getting that pullback. Could this be already the 3-wave structure? When we do see this wave 1, large correction, wave 2, big move up. You know, the question is right now, I'm not going to micro count this, but as this impulse finished right now, or is this your wave 4, we get another high and then we correct down throughout August? I think a swing failure pattern from the recent highs is a possibility. What I would want to see is this kind of price action, guys, in the next coming weeks. This is the moment that I would say 1-2, 1-2. And this is the price action that we want to analyze very carefully to speculate on that finally that big breakout wave 3, right? That could be happening entering into September, right? I think August, I wouldn't expect much volatility. I would even expect a rejection on some altcoins. We did get a nice little pump throughout part of June and part of July. Guys, this has been bullish. We have been bullish, right, throughout July and you know, part of June, right? When you do, we're just greedy, guys, based on the previous cycles, based on the previous performance. But we have been bullish, okay? Bitcoin's up 10% in July. A lot of altcoins are up significantly, right? Now it's getting a little correction. People are freaking out already, right? But we've had a pretty awesome rally on a lot of the altcoins between June and July. So yeah, a little cool off, guys, is very much needed and expected. Bitcoin really not doing much, guys. Volatility is so low. It is the summer. We got news at 8 o'clock, guys, Central European time. That is exactly in 2 hours and 30 minutes from now. Stay cautious. Interest rate decision. We might get a bit of local volatility. Just if you have some trades open, stay cautious. Please analyze ARB, dude. Please analyze ARB. Code with DJ. Much love to you. Shrin, like, let us know before you sell Link so we can all front run you, says Pac-Man. Absolutely, my man. I know you must have some Chainlink as well. You're a legit follower from a long time ago. Long time ago. I would say 2021 maybe, in the previous bull run. Yeah, you know, the channel's been live since 2020. But yeah, which was, you know, we did ride that bull cycle to the upside. Please do chill house real quick. Been a while since. Nice. Much love, Staffer One. ARB. Shall we take a look at ARB? Arbitrum, if I'm not mistaken. Arbitrum. What's going on with Arbitrum on the chart? I know a lot of people are not really too interested in altcoins. They are here for the Bitcoin technical analysis. That's where the money is made, guys. That's where I make my money with Bitcoin trading. Altcoins, I mainly just buy bags, guys. I buy bags. Some are in the loss, some are in the profit. You know, it's very interesting because you know, a lot of people do expect to get very rich with altcoins, right? Trading is the way. But trading altcoins for me is just not, you know, it's so much better to trade Bitcoin. You know, I study Bitcoin every day since 2018 and the movements. It's just, you just need one asset, guys, and you don't need 7 screens or 8 screens to, you know, look at me, you know, I'm a pro trader with my 8 screens. 2 screens is good just because, you know, it's easy to have, you know, or even 3 screens, but having 8 screens, one with order flow, one with this, one with, you know, level 2, one with the other. It's just a bit unnecessary information in my opinion. Rune, Arbitrum, I mean, what can we say about Arbitrum? Arbitrum really trying to stretch its legs here, getting a little bit of a double top locally. The movement down here on Arbitrum does look pretty damn good, if you ask me. You know, we are looking here for the possibility of this being corrective. Currently at a high volume node area, moving down to the point of control eventually at 34 cents would be a very interesting level. Very interesting level, right? You've got a leg up, steep movement down, a leg up, a steep movement down in the next coming weeks. You know, would be interesting for a proper big pullback to reposition yourself for the next move up. I'm not going to go too crazy here with Arbitrum Legends, okay, or any altcoins. The CEO of TA has arrived. Hey Andy, Alpha Analysis here, like smashed 𝗬𝗍𝘆𝗽, much love to you, brother. Just discussing the different scenarios on Bitcoin mainly, right? I know 𝗬𝗍𝘆 also mainly does Bitcoin. Absolute legend, okay. Just explaining how there is a high chance in taking out 120k, analyzing this movement down. And getting a successful breakdown from 117k is unlikely. Does it mean we cannot revisit the lows here? It doesn't mean that we cannot do this, but a successful breakdown, even in this consolidation, to revisit the lows at 115k is unlikely. So we're already analyzing that it's unlikely to break down here. We did not. We got the bounce. And with this range, we're analyzing that a successful breakdown for the moment has low probability. Just because we have a pretty clear 5-wave move up here. After a 5-wave move, it's a very 1-wave move. So you would expect at some point to take out 120k. And analyzing the waves inside of this structure, the bearish case scenarios for a successful breakdown in a wave 3 don't look too great. The only scenario that was mentioned in the last, you know, at the first 30 minutes of the stream approximately, is actually looking for a WXY here, wave 1 or wave A, right? And you're still in the wave 2, which is just a complex, or wave B, WXY possibility, sideways correction, which, you know, preferably we do form a kind of a flat or a triangle. Running flat, low probability. You have an expanding move here for your wave C, so running flat doesn't look too great. For a successful move down, it is possible, but probabilities are lower. I don't know. You know, this is the general movement here, which eventually is telling you the probabilities of this likely going to be corrective. Let's go right away. The CEO of TA, 𝗬𝗍𝘆𝗽, the man himself. Much love to you. There's only about 4 or 5 alts I'll trade. Keep it simple. Yeah, exactly. Can you do Hype? Hype is the decentralized exchange cryptocurrency, right? Hype. This is on the logarithmic? No. I mean, Hype's done relatively well. Hype's done absolutely awesome in the last few months. My goodness, what a rally. Yeah, Hype is hyped up. Hype is hyped up. Really moving pretty strongly here. Interesting where Hype is at the moment, because you have a 3-wave move up on Hype. You don't want to finish a trend with a 3-wave move to the upside, which is giving the possibility here of forming a flat structure, moving down back to the lows of this range. If this were to come back down here to these lows, then this would be a pretty interesting level. You would be looking for a possible flat here. I mean, if we were to come down here, I would be interested in looking at proof of support and look for a possible long position. Could we be forming a higher low here? This is a wave 4 formation. Well, what is interesting about this wave 4 is that you already hit the golden pocket. You already overlapped from this pivot. So a little bit skeptical here, unless you are forming a double 1-2, which, you are finding support. Now, the most important thing here is to analyze this movement to the downside. Which does look very corrective. Very hard to count an impulsive move in this area. Lots of overlap, wave 3, overlap right over here. It does count better as a corrective structure, which means that there is a chance of this finishing, at some point very, very soon to then, break out successfully to go to higher levels. Not going to go in detail here on Hype, but it does look more corrective to the downside, which we would be looking for a rally later on throughout the next coming weeks. Yeah, let's go quickly through the comp section. Not going to do you got a bit of a headache here, guys, not going to lie as well. Much love. Rune, I think Rune has been in awesome zones for accumulation. Rune got a devastating move down throughout the, last, basically in late 2024, early 2025, getting that insane movement down. I think an accumulation area here for Rune is what is bubbling, okay? We are cooking here. This is where this is a reset. This is a new reset zone where it can take months and weeks to get a recovery and reaccumulate. Rune is an awesome project. It works perfectly. It's one of the kings in interoperability, cross-blockchain project. It's a working product. It just had some issues with a new product of lending that they got out, that they had some issues of withdrawing, and it just got a massive panic sell moment back in, early 2025, late 2024. A bit of a panic sell-off here. But the product works great, and it's just at the lows of the range, which is a good area to dabble in my opinion. Right, accumulation here on Rune is not a bad zone. But down between treasury compliance and MicroStrategy. What do you think? Okay, Andy, what do you think about the separation between treasury companies like MicroStrategy and the BTC price? BTC is ranging steady, but MicroStrategy is losing its value. What can we say about that? I haven't seen MicroStrategy. What is the ticker symbol? I mean, obviously it did get MCR, MCTR. MCTR is the ticker symbol for MicroStrategy. I mean, this is still doing it. The stock is doing absolutely awesome still with Bitcoin, right? There's not really a massive difference between Bitcoin and MicroStrategy's price action, as we can see with the stock on the higher time frame is still pretty much doing very, very well. So yeah. El Profesor and get some rest, champ. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Wanted to take a little bit of news, which is just good signs of adoption here, guys. Nothing too major. Bitcoin has been looked at, guys. As mentioned, I do see 120K being revisited soon. It's simple. That's where we make the money, guys. So taking a look at news, guys, Coinbase has partnered with JP Morgan to enable credit card purchases on its platform and let Chase customers redeem points for USDC. Absolutely awesome. JP Morgan, one of the largest banks in the US, incorporating USDC, right, to redeem points. Absolutely awesome. Sign adoption of stablecoins. Strategy has acquired another 21,000 BTC for over $2.4 billion. You know, this guy, you know, how many is it now? $628,000 628,000 BTC accumulation right there, right? Absolutely insane. It has over 3% of the supply right now, which is significant amount. Anchorage Digital stacked 10,000 plus BTC today. This might have been yesterday, between yesterday and today. So, you know, lots of institutions as well buying Bitcoin. That's, you know, very, very good indeed. You're not bullish enough, as they say, right? Perma Bitcoin bulls. SEC acknowledges BlackRock failing to allow staking for its spot Ethereum ETF. So there's going to be some staking going on by the looks of things, right? Also from the Ethereum of the BlackRock Ethereum ETF, which is just, you know, I'm very, very bullish on Ethereum. Very, very bullish. It's my second altcoin holding, and I do see Ethereum hitting all-time high in the next coming months, guys. Everything points out that this has been a multi-year corrective, sideways complex correction. Since we visited below $2,000, we were very much aware, guys. Any legit follower from the previous months knows that I was very much in favor. We were doing the Monday buy one Ethereum for several weeks as we lost $2,000 buying Ethereum at 1,800, 1,600, you know, and so on, just for a few weeks because we insanely recovered, right, throughout June and July. So, and all-time highs to be hit at some point. So it's a long-term game. We need to realize where we need to buy, where we have the best buying spots. If you want to buy Ethereum here, yeah, okay. Just realize that you can be in a downfall for a few weeks in a correction. But everything points out that new all-time high for Ethereum, keeping it simple, is on the way, guys. Potentially this year, right, in the next coming months. Bitcoin, bit rangy, a bit boring. We have the news in 2 hours and 10 minutes from now. Stay cautious, guys, when we get the news out. If you have some entries near the price action, when the news is going to come out, be aware if you're using too much leverage and liquidity, you can get liquidated. It has been explained, the highest probability scenarios on Bitcoin, guys. Hope you enjoyed today's live stream. Make sure to destroy that like button. Let's try and get to 300 likes, guys. That would be awesome. I'm just sharing mainly Bitcoin charts, bit of news, a bit of altcoins, nothing too techy, but smash up the like button if you've enjoyed the different explanations. Thank you very much for joining today's stream, guys. Remember, on the pinned comment, you got bluffing and weeks, a great way to support the channel. You get the best bonuses available, okay, on these exchanges. You only need an email and a password to sign up. Thank you, everybody. Enjoy the rest of the day, and I'll see you in the next one.